strategies to help you become more productive, profitable, create progress, and lead a ridiculously fulfilling life. Welcome to the Susan Sly Project with your host, the woman who wants you to succeed, Susan Sly.
All right, so you are a small business owner, maybe you work for a business, and this keeps coming up. Branding, influencer marketing, and you're going, what the heck do I do with this? And one day you're on LinkedIn, and one day you're on Instagram, and one day it's like back to Facebook, and you're like, oh my gosh, do I send out emails? You're all over the map. You don't know what to do. Well, my guest today is a branding expert, and he has worked with and done video production with some of the top influencers in the world, including Jack Canfield, Robert Kiyosaki, and yes, even yours truly. And I'm going to be bringing him out in a minute and give him a proper introduction. Before I do, just a couple quick announcements. Number one is, depending on when you're listening to this, I'm doing a live event in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is called Sales Nirvana. And if you want to break through personally, professionally, learn neuro-linguistic programming techniques, I'm a certified NLP coach. That is an amazing event for you. Tickets are selling out fast, and it's salesnirvana.com. Check it out. Every Monday at 2 Pacific, I do a Facebook Live on my fan page, Susan Sly Live, and it's called Bulletproof. And that's where I'm teaching the tactics and the mindset for you as an entrepreneur to help to grow your business, grow your life. And Bulletproof Mondays have become very wildly popular. And I put out a weekly e-zine. It is 99% content, amazing, and it's Bulletproof Weekly, and that comes out on Tuesdays, so you can go to susansly.com and get set up for that. So with that, oh, and P.S., my subscribers get special coupons for stuff that other people don't get. So there's an amazing value proposition for you there. So with that, I have the great privilege to have an amazing friend of mine on, and he was recently just in the offices here in Phoenix, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got to do a show together. So his self-created title is Director of Possibilities at Cash Media Works. He has a lifelong creative streak that really extends to not just being someone who's behind the scenes, doing filming, videography, creating movies, but, really that technical mastery and creative inflection that have led him to become the go-to resource in event production, video production, branding, and photography. And, the thing I'm going to say, he's produced movies. He has produced individual branding for some of the top influencers on the planet. And, I really feel like he's had such an extensive career, but I feel like he's just getting started. So I want to welcome to the show, Joe Kenemore. Joe, great. It's amazing to have you here today.
Thank you. It's good to get started finally.
Well, Joe, I want to just jump right in. You've worked with Swarovski, Salesforce, Nu Skin, many of the top network marketing companies. I mean, seriously, there's a lot of talk about branding, and there are people who say you don't need to brand yourself. What do you say to that?
If you're in business and you're not branding yourself, you are missing the boat. Like, you really are missing out on a huge opportunity to, I guess, attract people, because, branding can be, associated with attraction marketing. So when you look at a brand, what is a brand? Let's start with that. What is branding, or what's a brand? And really, it's what people feel when they see you or your company. And that those attributes can be, your website, the color that you use, a logo, a font, how you keep your hair, the photography you use, your dress code, videos you've produced, anything that people see that could be construed who you are and how they feel about you and your company is what I consider a brand.
And so what I'm hearing is that anyone who has a business ultimately is building a brand.
Absolutely. Everybody. Yeah. If you're building a business and you're trying to grow it, you are either creating a brand or you are reinventing your brand, which I have done to myself many times and helped many companies rebrand themselves as well.
Oh, we will get into rebranding. That's one of my questions I have for you. I I want to let's talk to the person right now who maybe is a solopreneur. Maybe they're in direct sales. Maybe they're in real estate. They're kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of pressure for me to put myself out there, and they're terrified. What walk us through the like beginning steps of how does someone begin to build their brand?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, it's actually getting so much easier in today's day and age with the technology we have and all the people out there that are solopreneurs that are helping people brand as well. But really, to get started, let's just say you're in network marketing or you're creating a new product line in a traditional business, you're marketing through Amazon, wherever. Doesn't really matter if you're starting a new brand or a new business. Branding to me, start with a logo, which starts to beg some other questions, which is, what color should the logo be and what kind of font should there be with that logo? But really, that is kind of the icon. Like you go to my website, you're going to see my logo in the upper left corner where it typically is on all websites. You're going to see it in the footer. You're going to see it on my business card. You're going to see it on my Facebook page. You're going to see it on my Facebook business page. You're going to see that logo absolutely everywhere. And of course, I see color is super important right along with that. It's associated with that logo and with your brand. It's almost like everything you do from that point forward, you should have a color palette that you work from. It's fun how to watch people and what they see and what they learn and how they learn your brand. Some Coca-Cola, we know what color they are. I don't have to say anything to anybody. Pepsi, we know what colors they use. You start Tiffany's. They own that PMS. That honestly, they're more about color than they are the stinking brand. Everybody knows that color and goes Tiffany's. So a logo and color. Choosing a color would be super important right out of the gate, I think. That's my opinion. That's the first place I would guide somebody, a solopreneur.
So where are some resources? What would you say are the initial steps when someone's saying, "Okay, I can do that, Joe. Thank you for making that palatable for me." And yes, pun intended. Anyway, I've had my coffee today. Where would they go? Where are some places that you suggest they start?
Yeah, I mean, depending on their budget and where they're at, Fiverr, just go get something simple made. Now, I don't recommend that, Fiverr should be your one-stop shop for a logo design. I tend to move on up to like a 99 Designs where there's a competition with graphic artists to create your brand. But I would also recommend finding somebody like me. That can give you a little bit of valuable insight into the things you need to communicate to whoever it is that's helping you create that logo or that color palette. It's truly important that, you're selling education, yet, you've created your whole brand in red. Telling people to stop in your tracks. When it comes to education, they want soothing, relaxing, foundational, color schemes. A lot of people don't think about it, but it's definitely, there's books on color theory out there. Go buy one, read it. There's some short reads that are really interesting and really, really help you. And of course, when creating a logo, making sure you're getting an EPS that looks good in one color and not just, the color scheme that the designer has created. So, quite a bit there, but, you go to a 99 Designs for $299, you get a competition, you'll get at least 50 different designs that you can look at and choose from. You go to Fiverr, it's going to be over pretty quick. It's going to cost you $5, probably not going to be as good by any stretch of the imagination, or you just go find a graphic artist and an art director like myself to, help guide that process.
And those are such great strategies. And one of the ones that I like too, it's $50 is logo joy. So if
Yeah.
I'm just building out a funnel, it's a straight funnel, and maybe it's a funnel for a product for a client even, or just, as I said, like a basic straight funnel. It's not a Susan Sly funnel. I like to go on logo joy and play. You'll do a couple questions I'm not an affiliate with them, but so just FYI, but you go and, pick your questions like the palettes. The other thing I'll throw in there too is I think it's so important when people start with this process to identify who they're a child of. And what I mean by that is if you could look at other people in your space, imagine that two of them were your parents and they gave birth to you. Who are those people, right? So why are they attractive to you? So I'll just do an example. So let's say you are going to do, you want to have a lifestyle brand, and you want to have a lifestyle brand, and you're going to do your YouTube channel, you're going to have your blog and all of those things. Well, if you could pick two people in your space and you like maybe 50% of one person, 50% of the other, and you would be a protege of theirs, look at it, look at their color scheme, start to keep a folder on your computer of things you like, because by the time you sit down with someone like Joe, you want to be organized. That's what I want to say.
That's a fact, because I'm going to ask some pretty pointed questions, and you really probably should understand your space, your customer avatar, the whole thing before we get too far into spending your money in helping you create a brand.
Well, let's talk about avatar, because the people who follow the show all the time and everything I put out, I'm always talking about the avatar. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is, Frank Kern said, if we try and sell to everyone, we end up selling to no one, right? And so let's talk about the importance of the avatar, because you work with network marketers and you work with, people in the online digital education space and speakers and so on. And people have a very specific avatar when they're target marketing, and it's so important today. But can you talk about the avatar, define it, and why it's so important that going into a process of creating your brand, you have to know that avatar?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I got to say that, one of the most important things you can do when, you're trying to sell a product or create a sales page, a lot of the simple things in today's day and age can be very complex when you get right down to it. And the customer avatar really is that guiding force behind everything we do. If we understand who our customer is, what makes them tick, what does the customer journey look like when we insert our product with this customer avatar? Tons of examples out there, but get to the simple stuff, and just think about that customer and that product and how do they fit together. When would they use that product? Why would they use that product? What is a value proposition in the space when they are using this product? What would make them switch from the competitor's product? And really, how old are they? I mean, you really start getting into demographics. You get down to a little bit of everything. And I can't say this enough. Do your research. Just do it. Spend the time. Get online, get in your backyard, kick your feet up, get your laptop in hand, and start researching, your customer avatar and that space. Understand, if you're selling to women, you need to know women. And for me, I can't do that. I can't walk a mile in a woman's shoes, but I can certainly find women that can help me, define that customer avatar and help me communicate to them and understand that journey and what it looks like. But couldn't be more important part of the process of selling anything would be, the customer avatar. What does it look like? Who is it?
I love that. And you reminded me, there was a training, I can't even remember. I've attended so many trainings. I've been trained by so many people. I train so many people. And I was in a training. I feel like I was with Harvey McKay and someone else anyway. And the person was talking about the avatar, and they said one of the best things you can do is go buy magazines that avatar reads. So if you've got a product and you want to sell it to tweens, go buy Teen Vogue, go buy 17 magazine. If you have a product and you want to, maybe you're going to do like a survival flashlight, go buy survival magazines, but really know. And I had one person say to me, but I don't know what my avatar reads. And I said, well, that's a problem. So then I said, you better start with an avatar that's like you. Let's talk about that. When people don't know where to start, I personally feel they should start with a person like themselves, because that's the person they're going to know the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You'd said something else earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back just for a second.
Yeah.
Where you talked about the concept of trying to sell to everybody. And I use the niche down to blow up. I get with these companies that are selling, or these customers that are selling too many things to too many people, and they have too many products. And what I tell them is niche down, and you will blow up. Because you start getting specific into that market and specific into that customer avatar. It's world changing, life changing, monetarily changing, to your business if you really, really understand. And a lot of people are in fear of that niching down because they don't feel like the space is big enough. But They couldn't be further from the truth.
It is so true. My best-selling course is a new one that I'm currently doing called NLP for Business. And I didn't want to teach at night anymore, Joe. It's my night is bananas, with all the kids. I'm like at the
Yep.
soccer field, jujitsu, like cross country. Oh my gosh. Like and by 7 o'clock at night, I'm not in the best place to be teaching people. So I do this class on a Wednesday morning. It is very specific. It is a very specific avatar. I actually increase the price because I'm like, listen, my time is valuable and not everyone teaching classes out there is a self-made millionaire. So I'm like, I might come from, yes, authority. It is the biggest grossing revenue class I've done ever. And it was very niche down. And so to your point, absolutely. I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Who, in your opinion, and let's talk about big companies because I don't want to single out individuals, but who, in your opinion, right now, from a corporate perspective, is getting their branding right?
Well, I'm a brand zealot, and I follow some brands. BMW is at the top of my list. And it's funny that you start thinking about BMW. Yeah, it's a car. Do they sell the most expensive car? No. Do they sell the cheapest car? No. Is it the best looking car? No. Do they have some unique color? No. But what are they selling? They're selling the ultimate driving machine. And that trips people's triggers. For me, I love to drive. I love to have fun when I drive. I want to feel like I'm in a go-kart. I want to step on the gas and go. And when I step on the brakes, it's going to stop and it's going to handle and curve, do all those things that I want. But you look at the BMW brand and how they, communicate. They communicate directly to me. They know exactly who I am. There's no question in my mind that they know exactly what I want and what I'm looking for. When they communicate to me via email or I see an ad, I'm in. I can't spit the hook out. It's stuck. Done. Tiffany's is another brand that I just absolutely love. Everything they do has a timeless, classic feel to it. They've never cheapened their brand, ever. And they still don't. I don't care if you go in there and you buy a $25 item, not that may exist in their stores, but I can promise you it'll be dressed up in a $50 box, with the ribbon tied exactly the same every time. It's their brand attributes that they're protecting and sharing with the world, but they do such a good job of it. It is absolutely phenomenal to me to watch some of these brands. You see their marketing collateral that shows up to your door and you're just like, wow, they spared no expense, and really just nailed it. And they know who I am. They know why I buy Tiffany's.
Yeah. Those are two great brands, and even that association. And you said it at the beginning, your brand is about how you make people feel.
That's right.
And when someone has a Tiffany box, whether it's I don't know what the lowest priced item is in the store, but let's say it's a $188 bracelet,
Right.
that feeling, that association, or a BMW, if you're behind a 3 Series or a 7 Series or,
Yep.
whatever it is. I love that. And I think that brand evolution is so important. And you mentioned rebranding. So let's talk about that in that context, because there are a lot of individuals right now and companies out there that are rebranding. And what would you say if someone says, you know what, I do want to rebrand? What is step one for that person?
I think it's every time I've rebranded myself 4 times, my company. And I usually do it, just based on the fact that I'm starting to niche down again and find a new place, that I really want to play hard in versus this bigger space. And when I start looking at rebranding, I'm reinventing myself almost half the time. I still want to keep some of the same attributes. So, when you do rebrand, give strong consideration to all of your attributes for your current brand and how many of those would be portable and move with you into a rebrand. important that, that customer base, not the new customer bases that you're looking for, but the old customers can still identify you. They can still find you because maybe you use the same colors, the same website, yet, you did rebrand yourself. You created a new logo, and maybe you just created a new color scheme. Who knows? But, you really need to, as far as a rebrand, is just taking a good hard look at what you're doing, where you're going, and how can a rebrand help you in that process.
And this concept of rebranding, there are some people who I think you can overly rebrand, like a person who comes out in January and they're like doing one thing, and then the next month they're doing something it's totally unrelated to the first thing they were doing. Let's talk about overly rebranding.
Okay. Yeah, it can definitely happen too much, and really, brand strength comes in time. It doesn't. It certainly doesn't happen in 2 months or 6 months. Impressions, brand impressions. Every time somebody sees your logo, every time somebody sees your brand, it's an impression. How many impressions do you have out there before you're deciding to rebrand? What does that look like? I'd strongly recommend, you look at this and go, this is a 5-year, 10-year brand right now. I'm not talking about a 60-day, 6-month. Go for some long-term, be definite, in your decisions, when you create your new brand, and know that you're going to keep it for a long time. This is not short-lived. It shouldn't be cheap. It should hurt. If you're using Fiverr and getting a new logo for $5 and changing your brand every, 4 to 6 weeks or even 4 to 6 months, you're only harming yourself. Even if you don't like the logo, it's time for you to save some money, go make some money, let everybody just, see that brand. Hopefully it's working a little bit for you. And then you get on to creating a new brand or rebrand yourself. But, big companies, and small companies, this is quite a bit different. To rebrand a bigger company than it is a small company like mine. Bigger companies, all of a sudden you're hiring somebody, just to go find all the places where your brand does exist. So when you do execute a rebrand, that, it all gets completed and you leave nothing behind.
I love that. And one of the things I've been teaching Organize Your Life for over 10 years.
Yes,
Over 10 years. It is. I just did an interview on a show, Proud to be Latina. So shouts out to Yessie for having me there. And the number one thing, it's like, Susan, talk about organization productivity. I have a speaking event booked next summer. They want me to come into this company all day with women and teach them productivity and organization strategies. And it's taken all that time. I just got the trademark for Organize Your Life. I wrote a book called Organize Your Life. And so this is not, people can't look at me and go, oh, she's teaching organization. And I think as part of this, that within your brand infrastructure, Jack Canfield said this when he wrote the Success Principles. He said, I was actually shocked that I was still teaching the Success Principles 10 years after I released that book. And I would say, don't, we Netflix and chill, but you can, binge watch a series and you're done with it. Your brand isn't like that. Whatever it is you're doing, putting out, teaching, is it something you could still be doing in 10 years? And that's the question I ask myself. And so everything I do in my ecosystem around Susan Sly, if it doesn't help you become more productive, it isn't brand aligned. Right.
And with you, you're so passionate about organization. I've been around you, for enough years now to know that, seriously, if I wanted somebody to learn about organization, I'm sending them to you, Susan Sly, OYL, go get to it. Cause, seriously, you're passionate about it. And it's pretty cool to watch people who are passionate about their product and what they're teaching.
Yeah, I love that you said passionate. You're such a good friend. I think it's like obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passionate just sounds so much better.
I know. I was so it was like, oh, I can't write things in a paper planner. And I'm like, if you ever get audited and you can't prove you're doing 45 minutes a day of income producing activity, good luck, Chuck, with that. Like, it's stuff like that. But yes, anyway, let me ask you. So someone, whether they're rebranding or branding, they've got their color palette, they've got a logo, they're thinking about their avatar. Let's talk about mechanics, because here's one of the big things I'm seeing right now with people who are not getting this right. They're
Mhm.
like, oh, great. I have a logo. I have a new Facebook banner. I have a new like Instagram handle. Yay, yay, me. But they don't have the mechanics. There's no sales pages. There's no CRM.
Right.
They have no way to take any of those leads off of social media. They don't even have a shopping cart to sell stuff. It's like they're doing the P&P, the post and pray. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the mechanics, because there is an investment in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether you're trying to do it yourself or you want to hire somebody to do it, it's about planning. A lot of my customer base, when it comes to the solopreneurs, the network marketers, I, I hate creating a brand for somebody and seeing it not used or ill used. And really, it causes you to plan and really start thinking about your brand. What am I writing for? What am I writing about this month? How am I going to deploy, the content? And how is my brand going to affect that deployment of that content? And where does it even go? Well, great. Now you have a logo. You just created a meme and there's no brand on it. Why? Or the brand is overstated. You know what I mean? It's bright white and it takes up half the meme. You're like, what are you doing here? Are you trying to advertise, your brand? Or something that's really beneficial to that customer base. I prefer something understated. When it comes to a logo, when you're deploying your brand and getting it out there on these different social media platforms. But really, that organization word keeps coming up, Susan. I don't know why. Anyway, it really, when it gets right down to it, the biggest mistakes I see are people creating a brand and then just not executing on it, not using it properly. And that is super helpful. It's why we do brand guides with when we create a brand for somebody. Here's a brand guide. If you have somebody creating a booklet for you, send them this brand guide before they get started. You're going to create a meme. Here's your brand guide. It's your font, your color scheme, the, RGB hex values, for web work. It's just everything you would possibly need, to execute on that.
Yeah. And it's great that someone has, whatever, yay, you got to 25,000 Instagram followers, but are you making money? Are you
Right.
generating clients? Where do you
Right.
take them? So one of my clients, so we have her set up in a CRM. She's crushing it on Instagram. She has a robot. She has a scheduling system. And so she on Sunday sits down, plans her theme of the week. She posts, and then she's in network marketing, and she also has a full-time job in the day. And then she's got the robot doing an auto answer. It's a link to a quick video and then a schedule, and then it all populates her CRM. That's what we're talking about: organization, mechanics, mastery, like
Right.
that. And she's recruiting 4 people a week doing it.
Right.
So it's that kind of thing, and it's not just as simple as post and pray. And I heard this story. It was actually kind of sad. This woman has made millions in network marketing, and she's like, I was told I needed to be on LinkedIn. Then I was told I need to be on Facebook, and I heard this through one of my staff. And then I
Right.
was told, she's like, forget it all. I'm just gonna go talk to people face to face. What would you say in this modern era about that? Not that that's not great.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to go right, but let me start with this too. If you're just getting started, find somebody like Susan to help you with those problems, because truly, you can't be an expert at everything. And sometimes you need to make an investment, and making an investment with somebody who can help you with a sales page, with ads, and how to deploy them, and what platforms you need to be on. Just either do the research or hire somebody to help you. But now, to answer your question, I'm going to go back to the customer avatar again. If the customer avatar is only on Snapchat, then forget about Instagram for a minute. Forget about Facebook for a minute and get your ass over to Snapchat and start playing. But if they're solely on Facebook or solely on Instagram, or maybe they're on both platforms or many other platforms, Twitter. I mean, there's all kinds of places out there. When you really investigate your customer avatar, where are they? What are they doing? And that's where you should deploy, your content and your ads.
Yeah, I love it. And
Yep.
it is an investment. It's a business.
Right.
So Before we play Truth or Truth, Joe,
Gosh.
one of the things Joe and I love to solve problems for entrepreneurs. And one of the things we've been having a lot of dialogue about is that people go to events and they get excited about creating a brand, but as Joe said, it gets left undone, or they're not physically they get excited, they start, they don't finish, or they don't start, or even if they create something, they don't use it and they end up wasting a lot of money. So Joe and I
Yes.
conceived of this concept where we could physically have a very small group of people and in 4 days create a whole brand, all of their videos, all of their photos, all of their teach them how to copyright using NLP, teach them mindset tactics, organization, content strategy. And at the end of 4 days, there would be champagne or San Pellegrino toasting, and everyone would have everything done and marketing 4 days in. And so, Joe, I'm pretty excited. We're going to do
Oh,
this in
oh.
2019. It's going to be awesome.
That this just sings to me. It literally sings to me when you do these parts and pieces for people and you never really see it come together, or and then there's times where I get complete control over a whole project and I actually get to execute the whole thing. That makes my heart sing. And to see and to know that there's people out there with products that are actually ready to go to market, but they don't know how to get it there, and we can help them. Oh, that's it. That's it for me. You got me.
Yeah. And
And 4 days too. In 4 days, all that complicated stuff that they keep looking at and going, I can't do that. I can't do that. Oh, I can get that done. But there's these complicated pieces, and it is complicated. I mean, it's getting more complicated by the dang day almost. I mean, even the tax implications alone, changes are can be daunting.
oh, absolutely. And and the concept of, how do you have something that's physically built? There's no half-built bridges, and it's done. And it's like you and I creating this 4 day event. That's the kind of thing that we would have wanted to go to years ago before we both
Oh yeah.
invested hundreds of thousands of
Oh yeah.
dollars to
Oh
learn all of this stuff. So I'm excited. And
yeah.
before we do Truth or Truth, if someone wants to hire you to do the branding, to do their video and everything, how do they reach you?
They can go to my website, cashmediaworks.com, and cash is CACHE, mediaworks.com.
All right, cashmediaworks.com. Now, let's get to the juicy bits. Truth or truth. The fans love this. So you get to turn the tables and ask me anything.
Awesome. I only have one question for you, and it's pretty simple.
Okay.
And I think for the audience's sake, what's the biggest mistake you've made in creating a sales funnel? Biggest mistake you've made creating a sales funnel. I know we've both had them, but I'm curious about yours.
Well, it's so perfect that you would ask me that. So I was actually looking earlier today at all these undone sales funnels, and and people are like, well, why would you tell people you have undone sales funnels? Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so when I had my first online business in 1995, and it was a online fitness coaching business, and it had lead capture and everything in 95, if you can believe it. I had a website, everything. And then over the course of time, I kind of began to tell myself a story that I didn't know what I was doing and I had to hire people. And I started spending a lot of money, about $10,000 a month, with different individuals and agencies building out funnels. And if I had have taken a step back and I am going to be pitchy, but I'm going to be bold about it, and done an event like the one we're about to do,
Mm-hmm.
I would have saved myself probably about $340,000, because I looked at all of those funnels this morning. That I have beautiful lead magnets. I have 7 day video coaching series. I have like all of this amazing, stuff. I have, I know how to write copy in an NLP style with all the hooks and everything. And yet, because I didn't take responsibility, and it's just sitting there, and I looked at it this morning, I'm like, that's $350,000 worth of unused stuff. So it was like, yeah, I could buy a nice BMW, donate to charity, and go to Tiffany for that.
Good.
Oh my
Good to
God.
know. Good to know. I've made some of those similar mistakes, but it was an investment, and I learned. So it really wasn't a big mistake. It was just a learning experience.
Yeah, that's right. We're very positive people, right?
Yeah. Sorry, got not much negativity here.
No, I want to ask you something unrelated to our topic today. So you mentioned you're in the process of rebranding. As you go into this next iteration of you, I mean, you've
Mhm.
had some major life events happen, and
Right.
now, I've known you for a long time, and just showing up and how you're showing up. What is something you would love the world to know about this chapter in your life and who you are and how you're showing up?
Right. Well, I think it's this. Yes, I had some definite life-changing things happen this year. I lost my wife of 32 years, and it's caused me to really step back and take a look at, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? My wife was heavily involved in my business, so, it sits here, and I really, I become kind of somewhat uninterested in parts of it, and other parts of it I went, oh, I want to do more of that. And I think what it really boils down to at this point, it's niching down to blow up. So, I keep looking at my business and going, branding, love branding. I love just helping people through a problem. If they have a problem and I can help, if I can fix it, that's all I want to do. Once they're on the road and kind of going, don't care anymore, but I want to help them get, unstuck and get into business and get to doing what they need to do. And I think, for me and my rebranding, that's really what it boils down to, is finding those places where I can serve best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so, and going through, and I'm so sorry for your loss, because I watched you go through that and be there every day, at Gail's side,
Yeah.
right?
Thank
And we don't have to go through major life events to receive the messages that it's time for a rebrand or it's time
Right.
for a new chapter.
Right.
I have this saying, God either taps you on the shoulder or hits you over the head with a frying pan. So,
One of the two. Take the tap on the shoulder. It's a
yeah,
whole lot easier.
exactly. The frying pan, I've had those moments. Not fun, not
Yeah.
fun.
Nothing to
Well,
hurt.
Joe, I can't thank you enough for being here. I'm so excited to collaborate with you, and to
Yeah.
everyone. We're going to open up application for just 4 days. That's going to be coming up. So just watch my website, susansly.com, watch Joe on social media. And if you're interested in working with Joe, it's cashmediaworks.com. Joe, I just love you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity this morning to speak my heart about branding.
All right. Well, thanks again. And to all of you, as I always say, God bless. Go out there and rock your day. And I look forward to seeing you on a future episode of the Susan Sly Project.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another epic episode of the Susan Sly Project. For more tips, strategies, and ideas, visit www.susansly.com.